I start off with some basic forms. I've got templates of all these different pieces, like the torso piece, the legs. I kind of tend to play with the form just to kind of see what kind of dog it is. Is it going to be a high jumping dog? Is it going to be a fast dog? Is it going to be a slow, strong dog? Because, you know, I have some sort of idea as to what sort of feeling I'm trying to get, but I really am open to seeing what else can happen with the form. When I see a piece like this, I think of something a little bit more clunky, a little bit more kind of like a 1920s sort of car, maybe a little bit of a hot rod or muscle car sort of feel. And then I can kind of fudge with the, you know, the forms. It's like, okay, well, what does this mean? You know, is this some sort of weird dorsal fin, or, you know, is it more like a butterfly, or is it more like, you know, some sort of older monoplane? Something like that. You know, there's all different types of ways you can kind of play with your form. These are all the same forms. The front leg, I've elongated it. And this is just the back leg. But instead what I did is I flipped it upside down. So it has a little bit different connotation. And if you add some springs on there, you pretty much got this weird sort of grasshopper looking thing. As far as like, you know, real training as an artist, I mean, I don't know if I really had one. I just had an interest. You know, I was in a technical college studying electronics. And a friend of mine told me, he says, you know, you're always drawing. Why don't you just go and take a class with a community college, see what happens. And I just loved it. My mother, when she was a kid, she used to draw a lot because her mother was a widow and they had nothing on the walls. My dad is an artist also, in the sense that when he was a kid back in the 30s, he would actually make toy trucks out of wooden cheese boxes and spools. So there's this idea of like, you don't need a whole lot. You can always figure something out. There's always something out there that you can make into something else. Something I've got here is an old drill, and just your typical $5, you know, garage sale type thing. And, you know, this would be some sort of interesting sort of proboscis. There's a rhino beetle. The work that I'm interested in is kind of something I refer to as kind of almost like a make-do aesthetic. And it kind of comes from my roots. It comes from the fact that we just didn't have a whole lot of money. So when I was a kid, I would like make model airplanes and model cars, and I only had enough paper route money to go so far. So I would take the same piece and remake it. Sometimes there's only one way to get that certain look or that patina, and that's by finding something that's already existing. I would actually refer to my work as mixed media collage. There are a lot of people that would refer to my work as maybe like junk sculpture. And I think the difference is that a junk sculptor is more all about the junk. I tend to like to hide things like that. Like this particular plane behind me is actually made out of like 8 mailboxes. I bought at a local hardware store, and you know, so I'm loading on my cart with 8 mailboxes. They're going like, "What are you doing with all these things?" But it's just that I couldn't find any other sort of material that worked as well, so that's why I used it. Current piece I'm working on right now is called Cultivator. Where did my steeple go? Yeah, the reason I started playing with the whole church thing is not necessarily so much as religious symbolism as much as it is about culture. When I was a kid, I used to see little churches dotting the landscape, and they almost looked like these little white ships in the distance because the landscape was so flat. And when you think of the concept of like even covered wagons going across the Great Plains, you think about these mixed elements. Even tanks at the time were actually thought of as land ships. There's that sort of idea of like what is meant by cultivation. I mean, is it a cultivation of religion? Is it a cultivation of warfare? So then you get that concept of like, is religion oppressive, or is it something that will, you know, start the next generation? Is this good? This is bad? You know, what is meant by cultivating? And I like leaving that open because it doesn't really belong to me or my opinion anymore. It belongs to whoever shows up. And I think that's kind of intriguing because if you do something it's just so spot on where you hit people over the head with it, I think it's kind of boring. And I think you tend to walk away and go, okay, well, I don't need to see that because I know what that's all about. The role of the artist is the canary in the coal mine. I think we're kind of the research and development wing of culture. We really need to be out there on the edge to kind of like think about things that nobody wants to talk about. Artists have got to be fearless and not be afraid to try things.
Minnesota Original is made possible by the State Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota.